Hey guys, I've been wanting to share this story for a while now. Just kind of got up the nerve to start recording it today, but I've been accumulating the pictures and trying to tell the story for a while now. My life underwent a major transformation, I'd say 4.5 years ago now. And I just wanted to share the story because I'm hoping that it helps other people, or maybe even makes someone else realize that if this is their case, they can also do this. I mean, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I will not be endorsing any magic pills or any fad diets. This is just good old-fashioned hard work and some discipline, and you can do it as well. So let's get into it. So my story starts in high school. I lifted weights kind of on an amateur level by myself. Nothing huge. I just felt like I was getting chubby and I needed a way to get rid of that. So, look good for the girls and all. But nothing crazy. Just, lifting in my spare time. Fast forward to the end of high school. I joined the Navy straight out of high school. There's my recruiter, Randy Beatty. Great guy. I was from a small town in New York, probably never even heard of it, upstate New York. And in boot camp I was pretty average, middle of the pack, average run time, average number of push-ups and sit-ups and all that. So nothing crazy. I wasn't some crazy like physical feat, but middle of the pack. Fast forward a few years, I'm done with training. Now I'm on my ship, the USS Donald Cook. It's a guided missile destroyer. It was based out of Norfolk. This is my first deployment here. Got to do some really fun stuff. That's me on the 50 cal, helping guard the ship against small craft attack when we were going through the Suez. Really enjoyed my time in the Navy. 100% would do it again. You don't really get to serve or even work in a normal job. You don't get to work with guys of this caliber. I mean, every one of these guys was excellent. We handled our business. We did amazing things together. I could tell stories for hours. I loved every minute of my time in the Navy. So fast forward to my second deployment. This is where things kind of go sideways. So we're mooring in the port of Jebel Ali, which is near Dubai. That Palm Beach may look familiar there to you, Palm Island, I believe. But we're mooring in the port, which is about 45 minutes outside of Dubai. And we're mooring the ship. And on a small boat, no matter what your job is, most junior sailors will help moor the ship. So if you see the guy in the upper right corner who's kind of doing figure eights around those two metal things, those are called bits, putting the line on there, that's what holds the ship to the pier. Okay. And with these lines, if they ever get tight enough to where they break, they can literally cut you in half. They can take your legs right off. A lot of energy there, and so they teach you a lot of safety. And on this particular day, I had already put one of the ropes around, and what you do is you put a second rope out. So we're going ahead to put the second one out, and that first one starts making a popping noise. And when you hear that popping noise, kind of something getting really tight, it's kind of groaning and popping, you need to get the heck out of there. You need to find a safe place. So I look over my shoulder. The guys that were usually behind me were already out at a safe distance. So I started backpedaling as fast as I could. I figured if something was going to happen, I wanted to see it coming, I guess. So as I'm backpedaling, I trip over a helo landing light and I go over backwards. The only problem is my elbow hits first, and it just completely separated the elbow. I learned later that it shattered the elbow, but the most pain I've ever been in my life. And I'm laying there. They're trying to help me. They try to get a splint on it so they can transport me. They're not even able to splint it because it's just so painful to move it. So we get loaded up in a van, not even really an ambulance, but just an SUV, and we take this very long road trip. I remember it was under construction at the time. This is back in 2005, so a lot of construction, and it was probably a 45-minute drive from the port of Jebel Ali up to the American hospital in Dubai. So we finally get there, and we realize the radial head is completely shattered as well as my elbow separated, so I undergo surgery right away. They put a couple screws in there. These are not my particular x-rays, just some I found online, but very similar to what happened to my elbow. So they tried to construct it with some screws there at the hospital. They sent me back to Portsmouth Naval Hospital. So this is Portsmouth Naval Hospital. It's just outside of Norfolk, Virginia, where I was stationed. And for the next several months, I underwent physical therapy, trying to get range of motion and strength back, and it just wasn't working. But time out, because at that time my son was born. My son was actually born 3 days before the injury, and so here he is. He was a week old when I got to see him, and that was our first Christmas together. And of course my arm is still splinted and everything. So Portsmouth Naval realized that I wasn't getting the proper range of motion and strength out of that joint with the screws in there and everything. So what they opted to do was they actually cut the damaged radial head off, and they put an implant in. Again, these are not my x-rays, they're just ones I found online, but it's a pretty common procedure, and they put a titanium implant in there that looks very similar to this one here, kind of hammer shaped. And there's the post surgery there. You can see with staples and without staples. It was pretty painful, it was pretty swollen. But what happened was, over the next 5 years, I was in constant grinding pain, like every time I moved my arm. Now, I got full strength and motion back. I wouldn't say full strength, but definitely full motion. But again, every time I moved my arm, it was like grinding pain, and I went to several different VA hospitals, and none of them acted like they could help me. Some of them offered to refill my pain medication, which I didn't want. But finally, I got transferred up to Pennsylvania for my job, and I go to the Lebanon VA hospital that's near Hershey, Pennsylvania, and they actually had a civilian surgeon working for them, and he took one look at the x-ray, and he says, this implant is too large. They put the wrong size in. So he says, we can take it out and leave it out, which you're going to have some wrist pain and weakness, but you're not going to have that rubbing pain. So that's what we opted to do. We actually took it out and left it out, so you can see this x-ray here. The radial head is completely missing, and the bone just floats in there. They kind of make like a little pocket with the muscle around it, I guess. I don't know a whole lot about the procedure, but the bone just floats in there, and just kind of like dead ends. So this is me recuperating from this surgery. And you can see in the bottom picture, that's the actual titanium radial head that they took out of my arm. I specifically asked the surgeon several times if I could keep it. He said no problem. So I still have that today. It's somewhere in one of my keepsake boxes, I guess. What I wanted to show you too in this photo is, you can see at this point, I've been dealing with this injury for a long time, have not been able to work out for a long time. You can see I'm getting pretty heavy in the photo there with my son on the couch. This is 2008 and 10. Again, just showing you how heavy I was getting, just not being able to work out, and just not paying attention to nutrition or anything else, just going through life. 2011 and 13. Again, the picture in the orange shirt, I look back at it now and I'm like, man, why, how did I allow myself to get that heavy? Here I am, 2015, probably close to my heaviest. I kind of lied to myself over the years, like, you've always been broad-chested or wide-shouldered, you carry it well, you're really not that heavy. All the things you tell yourself, excuses you make, this is me now, I can't really do anything about it, I just have to live with it. And it was kind of a dark period, I guess. Sometime through that period too, I don't know if it was because I had gained so much weight or what, but I suffered from plantar fasciitis, which is kind of like a strained, that ligament that goes through the arch of your foot, kind of strained. One side was worse than the other, but I had it in both feet. Very, very, very painful. Hard to do anything really exerting, like pushing a lawnmower or walking uphill, things like that. Definitely not running. That's out of the question. But for about 3 years in that time period, I had that condition as well, and not a good deal there. So fast forward again to 2016. The picture in the blue shirt was taken in June 2016. That's my very heaviest weight, 247 pounds, and I'm only 5'6". I am not a tall guy at all. So 247 pounds at 5'6", that's pretty substantial. My waist size is 40 inches, and I'm wearing a double XL shirt in that photo, and it's still tight. So shortly after we came back from the Chicago trip, I was tying my shoes in my garage one morning, getting ready to go to work, and I had to stop to catch my breath in between tying my shoes. And it was just like a shot in the dark. Like that was my wake-up call. I was like, what am I doing? I'm only 35 years old. This is ridiculous. At this rate, I'll never be able to play with my grandkids, let alone my own kids, you know. And so that day, I changed everything. These are some of the things that I changed. Right away, that day that I decided to change, right away I bought a Fitbit. I figured, hey, I can't walk, I can't run, I can't work out, but I can at least walk. So I got a Fitbit to count my steps, and I set a very aggressive goal of 15,000 steps per day. That's somewhere between 6 and 7 miles per day. And then on the weekends, I would do even more. I'd go minimum 20,000. I can remember some weekends I'd do up to 25,000 steps, which is, I think it's close to 10 miles, which is pretty incredible, considering it's walking the whole time. So you're talking several hours. But my nutrition plan, I didn't know a whole lot about nutrition, but I kind of knew a little bit. And so right away, no fried foods, no pasta or bread. If I had starches, I would limit it to white rice or sweet potatoes. I quit drinking all beer, all soda, not even diet soda. No drinks with sugar whatsoever, so not even any fruit juice. Fruit juice is pretty high in sugar. It's actually better to eat the fruit than it is to drink it. Black coffee. If I had alcohol, which is maybe one night a week, if that, I changed to whiskey because it's actually much more lower in caloric content, and it doesn't have all the other like really heavy things like heavy carbs in it like beer does. And obviously if you don't drink alcohol, then you don't have to worry about that. But I would let my hair down one night a week, usually Saturday night, and have a couple of whiskeys. But I would stay away from any food with sauces or dressings. No fast food whatsoever. I did a lot of traveling. I still do a lot of traveling, but what I would do is I would go to an area where there was a lot of restaurants, and I would search for a grocery store, and I would try to get as much fresh food as possible from the grocery store. A lot of grocery stores have salad buffets, pre-chopped, like pre-chopped vegetables, all that kind of stuff. If you have questions about that, I'm more than happy to answer them in the comments section of this video. But I can answer any questions you have about the convenience or whatever of eating. Bottom line is, it wasn't convenient. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of saying no to a lot of things that I didn't want to say no to. A lot of discipline. But again, zero fast food. I try to eat as much simple, non-processed foods as possible. If I looked at the ingredients and I couldn't pronounce them, or there was more than 5 or 6 ingredients, I wouldn't eat it. So it wasn't easy. It was very difficult, especially the walking. I would get up first thing in the morning. I'd walk for 45 minutes to an hour. I'd walk on my lunch break. If I wasn't done with my 15,000 steps by after dinner, I would go walking after dinner, whatever it took. Sometimes I was out 9 o'clock at night, dark outside, still walking. If it was raining or if it was too cold or too hot outside, I would find the nearest shopping mall or Home Depot or Lowe's or even Walmart and just walk inside the store. I can't tell you how many times employees would stop me and say, "Hey, can I help you with something?" I said, "Nope, just getting my steps in, sorry." So that's what I did. So for the first year, I stuck to that step plan and that fitness plan, and I dropped 50 pounds in 1 year. So this is before and after. This is June 2016 to June 2017, and so I'm down 50 pounds. I'm starting to get into the weight room a little bit, but I'm still doing a lot of walking, and yeah, just a little bit of light weights at that point. In whatever, like I said, I had a traveling job, did a lot of traveling, so hotel weight rooms and things like that. Nothing like a full-time gym membership or anything. So after I lost the 50 pounds, then I'm like, okay, so now I've got my weight down, I can start doing more activities. I feel pretty good. So I started looking around, and we had just moved to a new house, and I looked for gyms in the area, and like almost right next to our house there was a CrossFit gym. I'm like, I'll try them out. I looked at their website. They said, your first workout's free. You can check it out. So I went and checked it out, and I was immediately hooked. What I loved about it was, like, you didn't have to plan anything on your own. You just came in. There was a workout for the day. The coach told you how to do it, what to do. There was a bunch of other people doing the same thing the same time as you, so you never felt like you were doing it alone. Everybody motivated each other. Everybody cheered for you when you went to do something for the first time, or you did a really good job. I loved it, and it was a little bit competitive too, because there's a leaderboard and it shows where you fall each day in your workouts. And I loved it. I was immediately hooked. So I started going 6 days a week, and then on top of that, I would also, we tried to do as many physical activities as we could. My son and I love hiking and camping, so we'd do stuff like that, and I felt my mindset change in that I would go out of my way to find difficult things. You see me carrying the log there. I was just hiking with my son. I felt like I wanted to challenge myself, so I wore the 20-pound weight vest, and then I saw that log and asked my son, hey, you think I can lift this up? And he's like, well, I don't know if you can or not. So I lifted it up and I carried it for like, I don't know, maybe a quarter mile. But just things like that. I just kept pushing myself, kept challenging myself. Instead of seeking comfort, I would try to find hard things to do, and I got a lot of joy from that. So this is 2018. This is where I really started to feel different. The pants there that you see, the gray pants I'm wearing, those are size 34 pants. That was the same size I was when I was when I get out of the military. So I was a size 34 waist. So I had finally got down to that size. But then if you look at the jeans with the black t-shirt, those are size 32 waist jeans. I had not worn those size jeans until since maybe high school, maybe a little bit into my Navy career. But I went from a size 40 pants down to a size 32. Really incredible. I was starting to feel really good. Here's a couple more shots, kind of like before and after, or before and during, whatever you want to call it. But my blood pressure was down, it was always in the high 150s. Now it's down to the low 100s on a regular basis. When I went to go for my check-in, my doctor had not seen me since before I started this transformation, and he peeked in and quickly closed the door and left again. And he comes back a few minutes later. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was in the wrong room. This chart says you're much heavier." And I said, "Yeah, I was much heavier." So he didn't even recognize me, which was really cool. If you fast forward to 2019, this is where I finally started feeling comfortable, even with my shirt off around people. Like I was starting to feel comfortable and confident with my body again. For a long time, my goal was just to be able to take off my shirt in public and not feel embarrassed. And this is about the time I realized that goal. I still, to this day, still have some self-conscious tendencies. Some of that stuff takes a long time to go away, but I'm getting more and more fit. And I had finally, in 2019, I'd finally got to that point where I could take my shirt off in public and feel comfortable, and that was a huge milestone for me. So fast forward to today. This is this year, 2021. I'm still doing CrossFit. I usually work out twice a day, 6 days a week. Twice a day, 5 days a week, and then once on Saturday. And then Sunday is my rest day. I've done some competitions. I love it. the top 2 photos are at a team competition where you work out together. I'm sorry, no, all 3 of these are from a team competition. We did a team competition up in Charlotte, some friends of mine. And then I also did like a strongman style competition. This is actually back in January. And this was really fun for me. It was an individual competition, deadlift, back squat, and overhead military press. And it was so much fun. But you can see that I'm starting to put some muscle on. So out of that original 70 pounds that I lost, I've probably gained about 8 to 10 back, but my body fat's still pretty low, and I'm starting to put on muscle. So I'm nowhere near done. I don't think I'll ever be done. I'll always have some type of fitness goal. But my long-term goal, I want to live as long as possible, being healthy and mobile and walking around upright as possible. I don't ever want to be relying on someone else to take care of me. So that's my long-term goal, is to live a long, fulfilled life, chase my grandkids, and just not ever have to be put into a situation where someone else has to help me do basic things like get out of a chair. So that's my long-term goal at this point. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments below.